You pushed me into the street. I'm 6 months pregnant. You should have thought about that before you defied me. If you won't leave Daniel, then maybe losing that baby will teach you some respect. Mom, there are cars. I don't care. My mother pushed me into oncoming cars while 6 months pregnant for not leaving my marriage. Hi, I'm Havoc. Today, I'm going to tell you my story. But before I continue, please like, share, and subscribe to hear more stories like this. I never thought my own mother would try to kill me and my unborn child. But that's exactly what happened on a busy downtown street corner when I was 28 years old and 6 months pregnant with my first baby. Let me back up. My name is Havoc Brennan, and I grew up in Seattle with my parents, Marcus and Diane, and my older brother, Kent. From the outside, we looked like a normal family. My dad worked in construction, my mom was a real estate agent, and Kent was the golden child who could do no wrong. Me? I was the daughter who never quite measured up. My mom had this weird obsession with control. She decided what I wore, who I talked to, what activities I did. When I was 16, she made me quit the soccer team because one of the other girls had a mom she didn't like. When I was 18 and got accepted to Oregon State, she convinced me to stay local and attend community college instead because she needed me around. I was too young and too conditioned to say no. Looking back now, I can see the pattern clearly. Every friend I made, Mom found something wrong with them. Jessica was too loud. Amber came from a broken home. Riley wore too much makeup. One by one, my friendships faded because it was easier than dealing with Mom's constant criticism and surprise visits whenever I tried to spend time with anyone. She had this way of making me feel guilty for wanting independence. If I stayed out past 9, she'd call crying about how worried she was, how she couldn't sleep, how I was killing her with stress. If I didn't answer her calls immediately, she'd show up wherever I was. Once, she tracked my phone and appeared at a movie theater because I'd silenced my phone during the film. My dad never intervened. He'd just hide behind his newspaper or find an excuse to go work in the garage. Kent learned early that siding with Mom meant an easier life, so he'd pile on too. They'd tag team me at dinner, criticizing everything from my career choices to my appearance. I met Daniel Carver when I was 24 at a coffee shop where I was working part-time. He was kind, patient, and treated me like an actual person with thoughts and opinions. We dated for 2 years before he proposed. My mother hated him from day one. "He's not good enough for you," she'd say, which was rich coming from someone who'd spent my entire life telling me I wasn't good enough for anything. "What's wrong with him?" I'd ask. "He's just not right. He doesn't make enough money. His family is strange. You can do better." Daniel made a decent living as an electrician. His family was lovely and normal. The real problem was that my mom couldn't control him, and by extension, couldn't control me when I was with him. The first time Daniel stood up to her was at a family barbecue. Mom had been making snide comments about my weight all afternoon. Daniel finally said, "Diane, Havoc looks beautiful. Maybe we could talk about something else?" The look on my mother's face was pure hatred. She didn't speak to either of us for the rest of the day, then called me that night screaming about how disrespectful Daniel was. We got married anyway in a small ceremony. My mom showed up but spent the entire reception telling anyone who'd listen that I was making a huge mistake. My dad just looked uncomfortable and said nothing, like always. Kent sided with Mom, of course, calling Daniel a deadbeat, even though Kent himself was living in our parents' basement at 32 years old. Things got worse after the wedding. My mom would call me 15 times a day. She'd show up at our apartment unannounced. She demanded Daniel and I come to family dinners 3 times a week, where she'd spend the entire time criticizing him. "Daniel, don't you think you should be making more money by now? Daniel, when are you going to get a real career? Daniel, I saw your truck had a dent in it. Can't even take care of your vehicle properly." Daniel handled it better than I did. He'd just smile politely and change the subject, but I could see it wearing on him. One night after a particularly brutal dinner, he held my hand and said, "Havoc, I love you, but we need to set boundaries with your mom. This isn't healthy." He was right, but I was terrified of the fallout. The worst part was that my dad and Kent would just sit there, nodding along with whatever venom my mom was spewing. Dad would occasionally mumble, "Now, Diane, take it easy." but it was half-hearted at best. Kent actively enjoyed it, smirking every time Mom landed a particularly harsh insult. I tried setting boundaries. I really did. I told Mom she needed to call before visiting. She showed up anyway and threw a fit when I wouldn't let her in. I told her the constant criticism of Daniel needed to stop. She cried and said I was choosing a man over my own mother. I reduced our dinners to once a week. She told everyone I was abandoning the family. When I got pregnant, I was thrilled. Daniel was over the moon. I waited until I was 3 months along to tell my family because I knew it would be complicated. I was right. "You're pregnant?" my mom said when I told her over dinner at their house. "Are you insane?" "Mom, we're married. We want children. This is a good thing." "A good thing? You can barely take care of yourself, and with Daniel as the father? That poor child doesn't stand a chance." My dad cut his chicken and said nothing. Kent laughed and said, "Yeah, good luck with that." "We're excited," I said firmly, "and we'd appreciate your support." "Support?" My mom stood up from the table. "I'll tell you what I support. I support you leaving that loser and coming back home where you belong. Raise the baby here with people who actually care about you. Daniel cares about me. Daniel is a leech. He trapped you with this pregnancy. Can't you see that?" I left that dinner in tears. Daniel held me that night and promised everything would be okay. But my mom's campaign didn't stop. It escalated. She started sending me articles about single mothers who were successful. She'd text me things like, "It's never too late to make the right choice." She told my extended family that Daniel was abusive, which was a complete lie. My Aunt Sharon called me crying, begging me to leave him. When I explained that Mom was lying, Aunt Sharon didn't believe me. "Your mother wouldn't lie about something like that," she said. Mom even called Daniel's workplace, trying to get him fired. She told his boss that Daniel was unstable and dangerous. Fortunately, Daniel's boss knew him well enough to dismiss it, but it was mortifying. Daniel came home that day looking exhausted and hurt. "Your mom called my work today," he said quietly. "What did she say?" "She told Mr. Patterson I was violent and that you were afraid of me." He laughed it off, "But Havoc, this is getting out of hand." "I know. I'm so sorry. You don't have to apologize for her, but we need to do something. This can't continue, especially with the baby coming." The real explosion happened when I was 6 months pregnant. My mom had been calling me all morning, and I'd been ignoring her calls because I had a doctor's appointment. She knew about the appointment because I'd mentioned it the week before. After the appointment, Daniel had to go straight to a job site, so I decided to grab lunch at a sandwich shop downtown. I was walking down Pike Street, looking at my phone with my ultrasound pictures, when I heard her voice. "Havoc!" I turned and saw my mom storming toward me. She looked furious. "Mom, what are you doing here?" "I went to your apartment. Daniel said you were at the doctor. Why didn't you tell me?" "I did tell you last week." "You didn't invite me to come with you." "Mom, it was just a routine checkup. Daniel came with me." "Of course he did. He's isolating you from your family. Can't you see that?" People were starting to stare. I felt my face getting hot. "He's not isolating me. You're smothering me. There's a difference." "Don't you dare speak to me that way. I'm your mother. I gave you life and I can—" "You can what?" That's when she grabbed my arm hard. "You need to leave him. Now. Today. Pack your things and come home." "I'm not leaving my husband." "Yes, you are." "No, I'm not." She started pulling me. I tried to jerk away, but her grip was tight. We were right at the corner of Pike and 3rd Avenue, a busy intersection. "You're coming with me right now," she hissed. "Let go of me." That's when she shoved me. Hard. I stumbled backward off the curb and into the street. There was a car coming. I remember the sound of the horn, the screech of brakes. Someone screamed. I fell onto the pavement and everything happened in slow motion. The car stopped inches from me. The driver jumped out, panicked. "Are you okay? Oh my God, are you okay?" I was on my hands and knees in the street, my heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst. My pregnant belly had hit the ground. I looked up and saw my mother standing on the sidewalk, her face twisted with rage, not concern. "You pushed me into the street! I'm 6 months pregnant!" "You should have thought about that before you defied me. If you won't leave Daniel, then maybe losing that baby will teach you some respect." "Mom, there are cars." "I don't care." The driver who'd almost hit me was calling 911. A crowd had gathered. Someone was filming on their phone. My mother seemed to realize she'd gone too far because she suddenly changed her expression to fake concern. "Sweetie, I didn't push you. You stumbled. Let me help you up." "Don't touch me," I said. My voice shook. The ambulance came. The paramedics checked me over. Miraculously, the baby was fine, and so was I, just scraped palms and a bruised knee. But I was shaken to my core. The paramedic, a kind woman named Gloria, held my hand and said, "Honey, we see a lot of things, but what your mama did? That's not normal. That's not okay." The police took statements. The driver confirmed my mom had pushed me. 2 other witnesses confirmed it too. One of them sent me the video they'd taken. It clearly showed my mother shoving me into traffic. My mom tried to spin it. "She's being dramatic. She lost her balance. I was trying to steady her." But the evidence was right there. The video showed everything. Her grabbing me trying to pull away, and then the deliberate shove. The police told me I could press charges for assault. I was terrified, but I did it. My own mother was charged with assault and reckless endangerment. Daniel met me at the hospital. When I told him what happened, he went pale. "She could have killed you both," he whispered, holding me carefully. "I know. We're pressing charges, right?" "Yes." "Good. This ends now." My dad called me that night. "Havoc, honey, you need to drop the charges. Your mother didn't mean it. She's just worried about you." "She pushed me into traffic, Dad. I could have lost the baby. I could have died." "She was emotional. You know how she gets. Family doesn't press charges against family. Family doesn't try to kill family." He hung up on me. Kent sent me a string of nasty texts calling me a vindictive witch and saying I was tearing the family apart. According to him, I was ruining Mom's life over an accident. I blocked both of them. My mom hired an expensive lawyer and tried to fight the charges. Her attorney painted me as a rebellious daughter making up stories. But the video evidence was damning. You could hear her words clearly. "If you won't leave Daniel, then maybe losing that baby will teach you some respect." The court case took 3 months. During that time, my mom tried everything. She had Kent call me, begging me to reconsider. She had flying monkeys from her social circle reach out, telling me I was being cruel. She even had her pastor call, despite me not attending that church anymore, asking me to show forgiveness and mercy. I stood firm. My mom got a plea deal, anger management classes, probation, and a restraining order keeping her away from me. She had to stay at least 500 feet away at all times. But that wasn't the end of it. My mom started a whisper campaign. She told everyone at her real estate office that I was an ungrateful daughter who'd fabricated the whole thing. She told our relatives that I was mentally unstable and that Daniel was manipulating me. Some people believed her. My cousin Bethany stopped talking to me. My uncle Carl sent me a letter saying I should be ashamed of destroying my mother's life. But others didn't. My Aunt Sharon, after seeing the video, called me sobbing with apologies. My mom's younger sister, Aunt Rita, reached out and said she'd dealt with Mom's controlling behavior for years and believed me completely. Rita told me stories about growing up with my mom, about how she'd always been manipulative and cruel when she didn't get her way. When I was 17, I wanted to go to college out of state, Rita told me over coffee. "Your mom told our parents I was on drugs. She planted pills in my room. I almost didn't get to go." "She did what?" "That's who she is, Havoc. She can't stand anyone having a life she doesn't control. I'm sorry you had to learn it this way." I gave birth to a healthy baby girl 3 months later. We named her Iris. Daniel and I decided not to tell my mom when I went into labor. We didn't want her anywhere near the hospital. But somehow, she found out. She showed up at the hospital and tried to get into my room. Security stopped her because of the restraining order. She caused a scene in the hallway, screaming about her rights as a grandmother. The hospital threatened to call the police, and she finally left. The nurse later told me Mom had been calling the maternity ward every hour for 2 days, trying to get information. After that, I changed my number. We moved to a different neighborhood. I made it clear to any family members still in contact with me that if they gave my mother any information about us, they'd be cut off too. Aunt Rita understood completely and became our only family connection on my side. Here's where karma started doing its work. My mom's real estate career began falling apart. Word spread about what she'd done, partly because the local news had picked up the story. Real estate agent charged with pushing pregnant daughter into traffic made for a good headline. Her reputation tanked, clients canceled listings, her brokerage quietly let her go. She tried to start her own independent practice, but no one wanted to work with her. She burned through her savings trying to keep up appearances. Meanwhile, my dad, who'd enabled her behavior for decades, filed for divorce. He told my Aunt Rita he was tired of living with her poison, tired of pretending everything was normal. "I should have protected you," Dad told me when we finally talked, months after Iris was born. "I was a coward. I'm sorry." It was too little, too late, but I appreciated the acknowledgement. We built a careful, distant relationship after that. Kent, still living in the basement, suddenly had to deal with Mom's full attention and control. Without me to focus on, she turned all her manipulation toward him. Within 2 months, he couldn't take it anymore and moved out. He also went low contact with her. He never apologized to me, but Aunt Rita said he'd admitted privately that he finally understood what I'd been dealing with all those years. My mom ended up having to sell the family house she'd been so proud of. She moved into a small apartment and got a job as a receptionist at a dentist's office. Her social circle evaporated. The friends who'd once admired her perfect family facade wanted nothing to do with her once they knew the truth. She tried reaching out through a lawyer, asking for visitation rights with Iris. We fought it in court and won. The judge reviewed the restraining order, the assault charge, and her complete lack of remorse, and denied her petition. The judge even noted in her decision that my mother had shown no accountability for her actions and posed a potential danger to the child. Last I heard, she's alone. Kent talks to her occasionally out of obligation, but even he keeps his distance. My dad remarried a woman named Caroline who's gentle and kind, everything Mom wasn't. Iris is now 3 years old and thriving. She'll never know the grandmother who tried to hurt her before she was even born. People sometimes ask me if I feel guilty. I don't. My mother made her choices. She chose control over love, manipulation over respect, and violence over acceptance. She destroyed her own life by refusing to let me live mine. Daniel and I are doing great. We bought a house. I went back to school and got my teaching degree. Our life isn't perfect, but it's ours, built on mutual respect and actual love, not control and fear. If your parent tried to harm you and your child out of spite, then faced major consequences that ruined their life, would you ever consider letting them back in? Or is some damage simply permanent?